Let's move to Senegal, of course, on the program, where Senegal's government has announced that the country's presidential election will take place on the 24th of March. The announcement follows tension in the West African nation after President Macky Sall postponed the election last month, sparking widespread protest. Parliament has also passed an amnesty law for crimes linked to the protest. The president's opponents had accused him of mounting a constitutional coup, but he denies seeking to extend his term of office. Now joining me on the program is Amadou Camara, a geopolitical analyst, and also Dr. Pape Chérif, who of course is a senior lecturer, University Anta Diop, Dakar. Both are joining from Senegal. Thank you for your time. Now, let me start off with you, Amadou. What do you make particularly of the amnesty law being passed?
Yes, the amnesty law was very discussed. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. The amnesty law was discussed by the MPs of the parliament in Senegal, and after that, it was approved by the majority with more than 94 MPs. But most of the people here in Senegal think that before this amnesty law, people should take into account some claiming, meaning that to find who did what, because there were several crimes, as we know, during these 2 years. More than 6 people were killed, more than 100 people were injured, and more than 1,000 people were jailed. And many people think that we should not vote this law because some member of the executive, meaning the power, would like only to apologize themselves. So the discussion is still in the street, but other people also think that it is a good deal because it will allow Ousmane Sonko, which is the leader of the opposition, to be free, and Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who is his candidate, to be able to be outside and to run for the election, which the campaign will start on Sunday.
All right, let me go to Dr. BASSÈNE. Dr. BASSÈNE, what do you make of the amnesty law being passed? Do you think it's a distraction, concerning the ongoings in Senegal? And do you also think it will, in a way, affect the credibility of the elections? Dr. BASSÈNE, can you hear me? Please kindly unmute your device. We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
As for amnesty, this is what I want to say. You know, I work a lot on the customers issue, and this is what I can understand. Sometimes the amnesty is not only for the officials, those who are running the state. It sometimes was raised to protect the military or the police, the law enforcement, etc. So I have understood that when we raise it, it's not that our government, our political allies want to protect themselves because it's now useless because they cannot protect themselves. So I think internationally, when you have, you have committed, criminal, inhuman acts, when you have committed inhuman acts, amnesty, your national amnesty cannot protect you. Wherever you go, the law can pursue you, and internationally, the people can pursue you. But what I can understand, by the way, that nationally, they are trying to protect the police and the gendarmerie, which was, the enforcement laws. So I think this amnesty, and this is why people have to understand it, I don't think it is protecting those who have been working in the government. It's going to protect our law enforcement agents, who are the military and the police enforcement. So this is what I think about the amnesty. People are discussing about it without thinking in the fact that the state sends the police to commit those acts. So how to protect that policemen that have committed those acts nationally? We know that those policemen will not travel outside Senegal. So how to protect them in the national law? But for those who work for the government, if internationally we pursue them, they cannot hide themselves. If they are targeted internationally, wherever they go, that amnesty has no, potentiality to protect them outside Senegal. This is my take about this issue, which is indeed very problematic.
All right, Dr. BASSÈNE, I'm still staying with you. The government has announced that the country's presidential poll will hold on March 24th, and this, to a very large extent, has been welcomed by the opposition figures. I'd like to know your reaction to the announcement of this date, and also the fact that President Macky Sall has sort of backtracked on his initial announcement just weeks ago.
So let me be, I have started to understand who is, President Macky Sall. And let me be what the Christian will call Saint Matthew. So, if I cannot see Macky Sall leaving the power, I will never trust him. I'm sorry. And in our opposition is so naive, let me say it like this. Whenever these government or their political contenders who are ruling the state, give them, an opportunity of a kind of democracy, they jump on and try to, how can I say it? To say that, okay, democracy is back. We are no longer with this regime. We are no longer in a democratic, environment. They have to pay attention. And the reason why I'm saying, let me be Saint Matthew, I don't trust them until the election starts. I will never trust them until they leave the power.
So for you, you think for now, if I'm to get you correctly, you think all of this is just lip service for now until the election happens?
This is what I believe, and they have to pay very attention. What they have to do is how, for Macky Sall, for saying that, okay, we are going to the polls next week, or you are going on campaign next week, they have to pay very attention and to safeguard this opportunity he's giving them. But if they lie on their small victory, because we are going on campaign, I think that we don't know what will happen. They have not to trust this system. I myself, in a intellectual perspective, I do think that they don't have the right to trust, but they have the right to be vigilant, to pay attention what will be the next move of that regime. They don't have to trust them. Nothing is not yet until we get to the point that they leave the power.
All right, let me go to Amadou. Do you think the announcement of this date is just lip service?
I don't think so, because today the international community, the actor of the opposition and the civil society put the screw on Macky Sall, and really he will leave the power. I think he has no choice. And all his attempts to postpone the election today is nonsense, because we see that the Constitutional Council was very clear and Macky Sall has no choice to comply with their decision. So I don't think that, because even the National Regulation Audiovisual declared that the campaign period will start on Sunday for the candidate. They will have to record their declaration on the national TV, RTS. So I think people are, even if they are not ready, but election will be held on March 24. But what we didn't appreciate that is the fact that we have already lost 1 month, and all this for that, I think it is nonsense. And today we will hold the election, the campaign period during the Easter and during the Ramadan. And it will be very complicated for the candidate to have their campaign, because here in Senegal, we used to have very lively campaign with song, with artists, But in this fact, I think it will be an exception. But as myself, I would like to be factual as Saint Thomas, and I think that the election will be held on time on March 24, even if the campaign period is certain days, but we don't have the choice as declared the Constitutional Council. It is an exceptional situation, and we have to comply with their decision.
All right. Now, Senegal has been one country that has seen the most stable democracy in Africa. Now, it's also a country, particularly in the mainland West African region, that has never experienced a coup. Unfortunately, with the recent turn of events, there has been some sort of major shake in the political landscape. What do you see happening in the coming weeks, particularly when it comes to involvement, political involvement, and also policy initiatives as regards as a fallout of what we've experienced in Senegal in recent weeks?
So the risk is not existent because everything can happen. Even if today we are very relieved, even if today we think that we were expecting didn't happen, but as said Professor Pape, also we have to be very cautious because before that there were some decisions of the justice which were not respected by some members of the administration. We remember that when there was a decision in favor of Ousmane Sonko 4 months ago, some member of the civil service decided not to apply that decision. So that's why we should be very cautious. And I think some member of the civil society and some political actor has already declared their wariness about the process of the election because the government has already been dissolved. There is only a prime minister who has already been nominated. We don't know still yet how the process will be held. And even if we are very, very, very happy to the decision of the Constitutional Council, I think also, as said Professor Jiba, we should be very cautious for the upcoming days.
All right, let me ask Dr. BASSÈNE this. We know that Ousmane Sonko was at the forefront of campaign against Macky Sall and was imprisoned in 2023 on what he said was trumped-up charges aimed at barring him from running for office. Now, despite the latest political reforms, the list of candidates eligible to contest the presidency remains unchanged, meaning Mr. Sonko still cannot run for office. Now, do you think what do you make of all the drama, around Ousmane Sonko? And who do you think has that kind of, what I call political clout that maybe during the polls might replace Sall?
Let me take it in this. I mean, as I'm saying this, Ousmane Sonko is replaceable. But I mean, the imaginary, the political propaganda, which is right now being developed, is that, okay, let me say it differently. In Senegal, sometimes we elect someone because we have a kind of pity, because he have been, threatened by the power. The power have been used against him, unjustly. And Senegalese tend to vote for justice, to bring back justice, to elect someone because he has been unjustly condemned or threatened by the power. So this is what happened to Ousmane Sonko. And the next move of Ousmane Sonko, because what we have understood is that since he was jailed, his narrative toward the people was that he's kind of not someone who focused his ambition on being the president of Senegal. But him and his party, they have a project. And this project, it is about who can run it. And he thought that he's not the only one who can run it. Senegalese and his party, even if he's not there, they can find someone, you know, capable of running that project, that PASSÈNE project. So I think the Senegalese start understanding what is happening right now, which is Ousmane Sonko is telling us, okay, maybe he won't be the guy who is running the party for the next election. However, even if he's not here, they will see who can replace him. So what is quite interesting in this generation of politicians is that if you look at carefully in the political parties in Senegal, sometimes the party break down or was divided because the leader, when he was supposed to leave, he has no one to replace him. And we are seeing now with PASTEF and Ousmane Sonko that they are giving to
all right, Dr. BASSÈNE, we are, of course, yes, pressed for time. At this point, we might just need to close the curtains. But thank you so much, Dr. BASSÈNE Pape, and also Amadou Camara, for your time on the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, great. And that's great. That's a wrap on today's episode of the program. My name is Dapo Adegboye. Bye for now.